Welcome to Abode with Afta, the podcast where we step inside real homes and uncover the stories behind the renovations. I'm your host and interior designer Ashley, and I'm speaking with homeowners and industry experts about what it really takes to transform a house. Hello and welcome back to the Abode with Afta podcast. So this is episode 2 today. We're going to try something a little bit different. As much as I really want to bring you amazing guests and home renovation stories, I also want to share my own stories. So working with clients, expertise in interiors, and of course, if you don't know already, I am also doing my own home renovation. So today's episode is going to be a deep dive into something that I see all the time working with clients, and something that I have had to really consider in my own renovation recently. So we're going to speak about how to design a home that actually supports the way you live. Now, what do we mean by this? Well, things look great online, but they don't look lived in. When I first meet up with clients, we really dig into, how do they want to use the space? What's the space being used for right now and it's not actually working? How do you plan to live your life in the next 5 to 10 years? Because if we are going to design for longevity, then, how we use the space, how we live is what the questions that we want to be asking. And this comes really before anything else, how it looks, the colours that we use. Yes, that comes into it, but we need to first identify how you actually use your own space. So using my own renovation here as an example, we are kind of at a crossroads in our lives right now, me and my partner. We don't have kids, but we kind of think we will in the future. Maybe not in the next 2 years, but maybe in the next 5 years. So we're designing a house right now that supports the way we live, but also supports our future. Now that's super hard because, we're not there yet, but it's something that we're having to consider in some of the choices that we make. So for example, we have a bedroom upstairs and I was going to make this my home office because I work from home. So this is bedroom 2, so it's the second biggest one. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to do that and then have to take everything out, renovate and move my office again, say in the next 2-3 years time. So I ended up just taking a different room, and now that one's basically lying empty. It's kind of a storage unit, but there's not really much for us to use it for anyway. We don't need the space, and it's somewhere that I envision, our future kids living in. So we're kind of just keeping that room free right now. It doesn't really mean that we're, manifesting this future really quickly, but we're setting ourselves up for this kind of lifestyle that we plan to have in the next few years. Another example, I think, from our house renovation, and this is something that I'm going through right now, and setting yourself up for the way you live. Are you the type of person who puts everything back behind you? Are you the type of person who, hangs things up a certain way? Like what we are going through right now is designing our kitchen. So an example of this is, right now we have a utility and kitchen that's open to each other. I want to close that off and open up the kitchen and dining because this changes the way you live. It's kind of standard now, you don't have open utility spaces, and kitchen and dining rooms are open plan. I really like that idea. It's something that I stand behind. I think it creates a nice family living environment, and for the way our house is positioned, we have the back door, and that's the kind of space that I see myself living in. But here comes the issue. So we have basically got to decide, where do we want the door to go to enter our kitchen from the utility? And the reason it's causing such an issue is because I'm thinking, well, then I need to carry my washing down the stairs, and I'm basically walking back on myself, from upstairs to downstairs and then into the kitchen, and depending on where I put the door, it's going to make it either really easy to do these kind of household chores, or it's going to make it really hard in the way that it creates friction. And if you're designing for me, so a lot of the design that I'm doing for myself, it's all about what's going to stop this friction, because the type of person I am doesn't do things if it's just really easy, like closing doors and things like that behind me. And it's funny to admit this on here, but it's just the way I am. So I'm basically designing for myself and not for the friction. This is something that also came up in our last podcast with Erin. So if you haven't listened to that one, please do. But basically with Erin being on, we spoke about why she decided to make her home a 3-bedroom and have bigger rooms instead of a 4-bedroom and have boxy rooms. Now this kind of came from her last house, where she had the extra spaces but they weren't really being used, and when she renovated this time she decided to go for the bigger rooms, and she basically designed it for her life. Now Erin's, she's got a daughter. I don't think her family's going to grow any further. It might, but basically they've designed that house so that they're using it all, and they all have spaces set up for their next 5 to 7 years. So if we look at all this kind of thing and what we've been speaking about for the past 5-10 minutes, we're not talking about how your space looks, we're talking about how you actually live in it. So this comes down to your space planning. So when you wake up in the morning, this is a kind of exercise that I would do with clients, let's say. So when you wake up in the morning, what are you doing? Are you getting up? Are you going to the toilet, your own suite? Or is it a family bathroom? And who else is using that? Is it convenient for you? Is it messy? Do you wish you had your own other space to go to? And then from that, when you go downstairs to make your morning coffee, are you staying in the kitchen? So maybe you're like a breakfast bar area, maybe you have young kids getting up. So when you take these steps and actually see how you live day to day, that's what's then going to decide how you design your interior. So key points to take away from this are designing a life that not only sets up for your day to day, but the one that you want to live in the future, considering all the people in your household and how you can live and move and just come together in a space. And when you get this right, then you know what you're designing for, and everything else just comes with it.